Well, that's interesting, because what is that moment like then, when you're sitting in the studio together, listening to the kind of finalized track for the first time? Is that nerve-wracking? Is that exciting? What is that like?
No, I think because you can always tweak.
Okay.
I mean, you're going into the final stage, but the final stage of a song can take really long.
Okay.
So there's never, it's when it goes to the mastering, then we're kind of like, and then still when we can get it back and we go like, it still needs some tweaking, something more. But it's not like a point where we go, okay. And like What Should I Do was finished, I think maybe 2 months before it got released.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have a while getting used to the fact that that is the final version.
Okay.
But then of course we already have shown it to some people and asked, what their thoughts was and what their thoughts were, and listened to it on several systems and different speakers and everything. Mm-hmm. So then we kind of know, okay, this is just, it's sounding good now. We can go.
Because when you started Mike Rogers, was there an idea of where you wanted the music to be heard, where you wanted to play the music, or did you have kind of a vision of what you wanted to do with it?
Not really, actually, right?
Not really. I think we did both imagine us playing at Lowlands.
Yeah.
Why Lowlands?
Because we both played there on our other projects,
okay.
And we kind of grew up going to Lowlands and loved it. Yeah. And when we were making the music, we didn't know if we were going to make a live project or not. But gradually it didn't make sense anymore to do it as a DJ, because they're not DJ tracks.
Right.
But since we both have never done a live show, but we thought it would be really cool, it kind of slowly went to each other, we should maybe do this live. Oh yeah. And then getting used to the idea, and then saying, what would be really cool if we could play at Lowlands. Yeah, that would be like. So that's what we imagine sometimes, yeah.
But so is that in the works? Is that a plan of yours to play it live?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We're definitely we're
okay.
At this moment we're buying all the gear we need. So we still have a way to go. No, we're buying it now, and we're developing. We actually, as of this week, we're starting to develop the show. We know how it's gonna look, what we're both gonna play, which kind of instruments we're gonna use, and how it's gonna look. We have vaguely idea about it. So now it's just a matter of getting it technically in order and arranging the show, and of course practicing.
That's important as well. But you mentioned the look as well, and I think I read somewhere that it was quite important, the aesthetic or the look of the artwork, and then it's based on Amsterdam and certain areas in Amsterdam. So what can you kind of what drove you to this type of visual? Why Amsterdam?
Well, we both live in Amsterdam. That's one, and I think we wanted to take something that isn't as standing out as you would make the obvious choice to if you live in Amsterdam. So if you go to the center, or you go to more like the Belmer, which is a different neighborhood, we wanted to kind of take that. I don't know how to say that neighborhood that isn't speaking a lot for itself. But if you put it in the right angle and you get the right details, everybody knows that kind of neighborhood. And we thought it would be cool to make something of an artwork or a concept around something that isn't that standing out, to keep it on one hand a bit of a modest feeling, because we feel that loads of branding nowadays is really screaming and bright colors and all this kind of stuff. We wanted to keep it a bit more modest. And on the other hand, to make that area that isn't standing out for itself so much, make something out of nothing, kind of that feeling.
Is that, well, this might be far-fetched, but is that kind of the way you approach music as well? Kind of making something out of nothing?
That is a bit far-fetched.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it might be true, yeah. But because it is obviously, we start with nothing. That's kind of the whole thing with the cool thing about making music, and then you have basically then you start with forming an idea, and then from that idea you form a new direction, and you build and you build and you build till you have like an idea, a whole track, a bunch of tracks, an album, a concept, and it all starts from nothing. So yeah.
And another thing that's interesting is that I've only heard 3 songs so far, but they're all quite different from each other. So do you have to be in a certain mindset, or do you look for certain things in the song?
Ooh, I think it's basically a display of our influences.
Okay.
So we kind of got influence from our youth and from the present. Yeah, all this music that we hear, and it goes into a black box, and then this is the output. It's not a particular state or something. It's basically freewheeling till one of us says, okay, this is cool, let's from this draft make a track, or build upon it.
And you mentioned the singer AB for what should I do, and then on Loose Ideas you have Jones and Tix the author. On what basis do you select the people that you work with?
Well, that they react to our inquiry and our mail. That's, I mean, our strategy is that we just go on Spotify and listen to new talent, listen to more bigger names, or via similar artists, finds via Fresh Finds playlists or all this kind of stuff. And then we basically just contact everybody that we think is cool. And then you might have a rapper going, okay, it's cool for a verse €500 and for a chorus €500, without even checking what the project is. Or you can get people going like, okay, this is interesting. Let's figure out if we can do something. And this was the case with Jones and Tix. We were actually surprised that it started off with Jones, and because it was a duet, we felt we needed to kind of like have a similar name in weight, kind of like in. So, and we thought Tix was a very good second, like a male vocalist, to match up with Jones' profile, and then. AB, I think AB sent us something for like some songs, and we were like, oh, this is really cool, this is really cool voice. And then, and then we send some of our backing tracks to our publisher, and AB's also on the publishing. So then you start kind of like, once you have the contact and you start developing, you start to explain to people what the project is, what the concept is, how it sounds, and then it's easier to get people on board. But like loads of people don't react. Loads of people don't respond to the mail.
Is there one name that you can mention that you tried, but maybe a big name that you tried?
Well, I mean, the bigger names you don't really chase, because you know they are going to. We had loads, but do you know one?
Zach Abel.
Oh yeah, Zach Abel.
Right.
Yeah. But that was because he was. Ella Irie, yeah. But that was because they did respond.
Okay.
So they kind of liked the idea, but then, I mean, when you work on a project with different singers, all these singers, they have their own like schedule for the year, right? So they have their own singles and they have their own plan. So next to willing to work, there's also the practical side of stuff.
Sure.
And with these two actually was more of the practical side. So we were kind of happy that they were willing, but or maybe just an excuse, but let's just say that it was the practical side that they declined. But yeah.
Yeah, I find that you touch upon an important thing, I think, because the music industry has changed so much over the years, and it's very much become a business where people are very concerned about release dates. Everything's planned out. So I think now you have an EP ready, but are you thinking about what you might want to release next, or do you already have some stuff in the works?
Yeah, I mean, before we decided we we're going to release music, we made sure we had like at least 10 tracks ready, like to go. So we have these 3, but we have more tracks, you know, just to go to the mastering, or just got back from the mastering, and so we have loads of stuff to release. So I think the next step will be another EP, and then maybe 1 or 2 singles, and then together with the live show and the development of that, because that's going to be a creative factor in the future, obviously, as well. I mean, when we're playing, we're kind of generates different ideas, maybe. So that's the first steps that we're going to make, like develop the show, and then release the music that we have, and then hopefully to the next step, which would be an album or whatever.
And can I assume that you will still be making music yourselves, but under your own name as well?
Yeah.
Guys, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too.